Hey everyone, it's Steve Mont here again, and this time in this video we'll be discussing the Medusa device again. But this time we're going to be focusing on the healing properties of the Medusa. So in this video, I should have been advising this too in the last video. There will be spoilers ahead. For this video, we'll be going over 6 different volumes of the manga, which are volumes 1, 2, 9, 10, 14, and 16. I'm just pulling from different examples to illustrate your show, what we're talking about here in this video. And I had to make sure I notated everything down of which in each chapter of the manga. All right. Because last time we talked about how many times the Medusa had petrified someone that we know of so far in the manga up to the current point. If you're reading the chapters on the Viz website. And so I was like, okay, we got to go to the next part of discussing the Medusa. So in this part in discussing the Medusa in this story, now we're going to talk about the fact that it can heal you after you've been petrified. So what I believe in Volume 1, Chapter 6 of the manga, Yuzuriha, and sorry if I'm butchering that name, she still has the petrification still encased on her foot after they escape from Tsukasa after sending him on his own little, they trick him into getting the revival fluid, so they could run off to get far as they could away from him. But anyway, she still has some of the petrification on her foot, and when they pour revival fluid on it, she exclaims that she feels the pain washing away. Taiju and her then exclaim that maybe this thing has healing abilities and could help them out. But Senku dismisses that until later on. Which is, within volume 2 of the manga, chapter 15, when after Senku seemingly gets killed by Tsukasa, he still has his petrification on the back of his neck, which we've been seeing him, touch the back of his neck throughout most of volume 1 to 2, and that's when Taiju and Yuzu, I'm just going to call her Yuzu, finally realized that, that was his whole thing. He was hoping that Taiju and Yuzu would catch on. And then once they leave with Senku making Tsukasa believe that he's dead, they then pour the revival fluid on the back of his neck. The stone cracks off of him and he survives. He's revived, basically. He's healed. That's when Senku confirms that this, the stone, when petrified, does have healing abilities. I wanted to note as we get more into this discussion, as I did not do this with the previous video, but there will be spoilers ahead. Now, the Medusa can seemingly heal injuries, and before the South America arc, I would have just thought it was just severe injuries, not close to death, like cuts, bruises, stab wounds, like what Ginro had during the Treasure Island arc. In chapter 137 of volume 16, Ginro is revived and healed from his stab wound that he received from Ibara in chapter 121 of the manga. So yeah, it's something sort of like that. It's like, say you're in the Dr.Stone world, and then you get stabbed, just like Ginro and Tsukasa did, or shot like some of the characters did during the South America arc against Stanley and his men and women and all of them. As long as you have a perfectly well-cut diamond ready to be powered inside the Medusa, you could then petrify everyone and then be revived. I would say a couple minutes later, because literally when they petrified Tsukasa, they then immediately revived him. So I don't think you really need to be petrified for a long time for the effects of the healing to take effect. I think you just need to be petrified and then immediately revived, and then you're all healed as if it never happened. So, so I think it would be pretty cool to have the Medusa. Um, and it is good that the Sinkun crew have it in their hands. But as I was writing this, I was like, wouldn't this be cool if we had it too? Like, what if we had this kind of Medusa in our world, the same way Sinkun crew have it? I mean, the any cuts, bruises, stab wounds, anything like that. All you have to do is get petrified and then depetrify with the revival fluid, and you're all healed as if it never happened. I mean, sure, there may be side effects. Inigaki and Boichi may write something like that in the future. I mean, think about it. When these guys got depetrified, they had cracks all over them. And Senku and Zeno still had theirs. While everyone else who got petrified and had those cracks, when they got revived, they no longer had them. I guess that's just part of, because it's healing them. But, the only other thing that would suck about, having the Medusa, which is also a thing for the crew, even though they figured out this problem, is the fact that it's probably limited by its power, because it's a diamond that's needed to power the Medusa. Like during the South America arc, when they're learning about the Medusa, opening it up and all that, they learned that a diamond was cut the right way and put inside to power it. They create their own diamonds to power it. But think about this. So when they had to, back in chapter 83 of volume 10, after when Tsukasa, where was that go? Oh yeah. Okay, I got lost in that. Okay, so think about this. I'm gonna have to go through all of it. Tsukasa got stabbed in chapter 79 of volume 9 by Hyoga by using his sister against him so that he could become the new strongest. But Senku and Tsukasa teamed up. But in chapter 83 of volume 10, Tsukasa gets put in a frozen-like coma state by Senku, which for them to later, help save him, which is why they from the tales that Rory has, Kohaku's sister, they learn about Treasure Island, go there to get whatever they need so they can petrify Tsukasa and heal him through the use of the Medusa, which they later get from Hibara after they petrify him. And in chapter, I believe, 137. But anyway, when they come back to revive Tsukasa in chapter 141, the Medusa was already out of juice. They literally had to kind of flicker it like a battery to make it turn on and off to give it one last burst. So when they did that, they did 1 meter 1 second, petrified Tsukasa, and then immediately revived him, and he was all better. So that's the only other thing, is that it's limited by the fact that it's powered by a diamond, and in the fact that it may have a limit to how many times it could be used before the power, has no more power. So then they have to create a new diamond and then use it all over again. And there's no telling if maybe how many minutes and how many meters the command is put into play for that too, because it could be however big you make it is how much power it needs to do that. So you only have so many times you could probably use the Medusa, and if you're in a bind and it's already out of power, you're out of luck if you die before you can make a new battery. I mean, who's to say, I mean, although, yes, and spoilers here too again, Hyoga does kind of, like Tsukasa confirms, he does die and he gets revived from the Medusa due to being petrified by the Medusa, and then revived later on. But we still don't know how long he had to be dead for that. So, but yeah, so it's limited by the fact that it's powered by a diamond, and who know, they only got the one. Which comes into my next point here um, is that is what I like about it is, while yes, in the earlier chapters, when Senku was thought to have been killed by Tsukasa, but he was able to be revived by the stone petrification. He's still on his neck after being poured on by the revival fluid. And for me and everyone else probably read at that time, like, okay, this has healing properties, but how much does that extend to? And it could easily, and it kind of does, take away the tension and the stakes from it, because now you can, what we later learn on, that it could heal. But I still like that Boishin Ugaki. You still make limits to the Medusa, especially in what it can do. Like, we learned that it's powered by a battery. No matter how advanced the technology of the Medusa is and what it can do, it's still powered by a battery. It probably has so many uses before it has to have a new battery put in. Also, later on, we learn about the Medusa mound that from both Matsukaze's flashback and the mound that we actually do find later on in the story when Senku and crew are trying to find the origin point of when the petrification happened at the beginning of the story. But they can only use the one Medusa they have with them because the other Medusas are damaged. So they can't use those. The one that they have is still new and undamaged, so they only have the one Medusa to be able to use, which both Y-Man and Senku have been using. So it does still kind of make some kind of tension and some kind of stakes to it, because they only have the one Medusa. Anything happens to that Medusa, if anything should happen to the crew now, they can't petrify themselves to then de-petrify to heal themselves from their injuries. And to a later point that I'll mention later down the line in this video. So it's just like, that's what I like. Because take, for example, a new battery is going to be needed. If anything happens, you need a new battery to revive someone who's currently on death's bed or bleeding out or anything, because you don't have the tools at the time, or any med kits or anything like Senku and them might create later on in the story, and you need the Medusa, it's pretty much over for that person or anything else. So it's just like, we don't know if there's so many times with this new battery, or if it's just an extended battery that will not need another battery. Because they haven't used it. They've only used it the one time. It's only been used the one time since the new battery's been put in. That was during the South America arc, where Y-Man, through Joel's watch, signaling to the Medusa to petrify the whole world again. It got used again currently in the latest chapter. If you read the Viz, if you read on the Viz website, so I advise go read that. But other than that, it has only been. After that, it's only been used those 2 times, but we don't know if how many more times before the battery dies. We don't know how long, or kind of like a charge. Does it last for months, years, days, what? So that's what I like. Until they specify it, I like it. Beyond that, it's still a valuable device, because it's helped them out, especially the majority of the time it's just been used in Treasure Island. To bring everyone back, cure Kaseki's arthritis, help out Ginro when he got stabbed by Ibara in chapter 121, and then he gets petrified in 122 along with Kohaku. So, and then everyone that got shot up in the South America arc when Stanley was trying to retrieve Zeno back. After he got captured by Senku and everyone. So Zeno and them decided, we're just going to shoot the Kingdom of Science, even a child like Suika. Because at the time, she was still a child. And they were even to shoot her too. Oh boy. Um, but yeah, so it's just like, yeah, it's very invaluable, and then what makes it even more invaluable, which I said I was gonna talk about later, which is now, is that the fact that it has an immortality added to the healing. I mean, it saved Hyoga from a brush of death. Chrome, Senku, Tsukasa, and Zeno all had this conversation with it eavesdropping again about the fact that the Medusa gives them immortality, which makes it more valuable and also more dangerous. With that, I gotta stop the video. I'm gonna keep going into this about the Medusa and his healing abilities and everything else. Um, and I think I went over a lot of it. Everything I wanted to talk about concerning the Medusa. Because at least this part talking about the Medusa and its healing properties and everything else that goes along with it. I like the Medusa. I think it's cool. I mean, aside from the fact, it can heal everybody, that does take away the stakes and some tension sometimes, but there are some limits and risks to it, which I like, and there are some things that especially what currently happened in the last chapter of the manga, if you've read it. But yet, the next video so the next video is going to be on the immortality part, more in depth on that. I just talked about it a little bit here, but this was more about the healing abilities. I want to get more into that in the next video. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.